Hello, and thank you for calling. Appreciate everybody being on the Tuesday Morning Ad Clinic today. I've been away for a week or so, and wow, we've got a lot of things that have piled up here for the Tuesday Morning Ad Clinic. So we're going to jump right in and get after it. And we're going to start with Renaissance Roofing, Mr. Bob. And let me see if I can find you on my list here to unmute. Bob, I see you on here, but you need to enter your what is it called? There you go. You did it. Hey, Bob, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, whatever that code is called. Thank you for entering it.
No problem.
Okay. Can you confirm that you can see your postcard on my screen or on your screen?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you tell me about this and we'll get rolling.
Sure. We specialize in historic roofing. Residential is part of our business, and we have canvassed neighborhoods throughout the greater Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Louis area of homes that have historic roofing systems, and so we have a database of about 10,000 addresses. It's been a couple of years since we've done any mailings. In the past, we've used postcards similar to this one. The success of it has fallen over the years. 15 years ago, it worked really well. A couple of years ago, not so well.
Okay. When you say you've done mailings, first of all, you said you got 10,000 homes on the database.
Correct.
And were these all added some time ago and not so much lately?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, and tell me about the mailing you've done in the past, not in terms of the content of the mailers, but in terms of the frequency and so forth.
In the recent past, it's been rather infrequent. Twice a year, maybe 3 times a year. Was not a monthly effort or ongoing effort.
Okay.
So when our work was slow or leads were slow, we would send them out, and get a dozen or 2 dozen leads, and
every time you'd send them out,
fill up the schedule, right? But as the years have gone and our competition has matured and we needed the clients more than they needed us, the success rate dropped off.
Okay, and so when you would send it out,
we kind of gave up with it for a while.
When you would send it out more recently, you would not get a dozen or 2 dozen responses?
That's correct.
What would you get?
8 or 10 at the most.
Okay, and so I think you combined 2 stories here. Let me just make sure I've got it straight. Before, you would send it out 2 to 3 times per year, or you would send it out more frequently?
At the most, we'd only ever send it out 2 or 3 times a year.
Okay, and more recently, how much have you sent it out?
We haven't sent one out for 2 years.
Okay.
And when we did in the last 2 to 3 years ago, it was once or twice.
And you only got 8 to 10 responses?
Correct.
Okay, and how much does it cost you to send this thing out to 10,000 people?
If I remember correctly, well, here I got one. It was 39 cents back.
Okay, so let's assume maybe 45 cents now, postal increases, whatever.
Right. That was actually in January of 11.
Okay, so the 45 cents is probably conservative.
Yes.
Okay, so that's going to cost you $4,500 to send it out to 10,000 people, roughly.
Mm-hmm.
True enough?
Correct.
4,000 to 4,500. Okay, and when you get responses in the past, do those generally turn into leads?
Yes.
And leads turn into sales?
Correct.
And if you get 8 to 10 responses, let's just say 10 for round numbers, how many sales would you get out of that?
3.
3 sales, and average sale is worth how much?
Could be 15
Roughly.
grand. I mean, they run the gamut, but yeah, 15 grand would be.
My guess is that these kinds of roofs would be a little bit more.
Well, they could be $40,000, $50,000. Okay,
so here's what I want to know: what would be average? You might have one for 5,000, you might have one for 80,000. What's typical? I'm going to guess it's higher than 15,000.
My average ticket
on these kinds of roofs
last year was 19,000.
Okay. Do you mind if I round it to 20? It's just a lead for math.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you spend $4 grand, you get 60,000 in sales.
Correct.
Okay. Advice number 1: do that again.
Okay.
Now that's kind of tongue in cheek, but the reality is, you know, that's an outstanding return on investment. There's really nothing wrong with that. If you can spend $4,000 and get, you know, $50,000 in sales,
correct.
You know, anything over $40,000 in sales gives you a 10% cost or less.
Exactly.
Which is pretty good. Now, let's talk about what this would look like financially to run this out on a more consistent basis. Because here's what you've done in the past. You've let people's demand for this kind of stuff build up, and then you send a postcard, and it's like a release valve, and you siphon off whatever the current demand is, and then you close the valve again. You let it build up for 6 or 8 months, and then you release it a little bit. And then more recently, you've only opened that valve, you know, 2 years ago, and
right.
Ostensibly, if you sent this today, this exact postcard or one similar to it that you sent in the past, you'd probably get another 10 responses. You'd probably do another $60,000 in sales. So number one, I recommend go ahead and do that. But here's what's interesting: you've got 10,000 roofs on this list. So if you understand the concept of accelerated discontentment, and I'm sure you have a little bit of a concept of that, true enough?
Yes.
Okay, so here's what's happening. People get to a point where something happens that causes them to feel like they need to do something about their situation. In your case, replace the roof. So what you've basically told me is that every 6 to 24 months, about 10 people feel urgent enough about their roofs to pick up the phone and call you when you send them a postcard.
Yes.
Well, here's what we don't know. What we don't know is how many people in the intervening 6 to 24 months have a situation that take care of it through some other methodology besides responding to your postcard. Answer, probably a lot.
True.
Number two, how many people that do have an issue actually call you based on the fact that they're only hearing from you from their perspective very, very infrequently, probably infrequently enough that they're not connecting the dots that this company keeps reaching out to them. Are you following me?
Correct. Yes.
From your standpoint, you look at it and say, well, I've got these 10,000 people on my database, and we used to mail them 2 or 3 times a year. Now we mail them, you know, less frequently, but they're still on my database. So, you know, these people sort of belong to me, and these people are all on my list. So these people all, you know, have some sort of relationship with me.
Right.
And from their perspective, it's, we don't know who you are.
Right.
So, you know, I would be interested in exploring the math of an ongoing mailing campaign, because it might be worthwhile. It might not be worthwhile, but it's worth exploring the math. Now, here's what you've got to plan for when you do this kind of a thing. It's really kind of scary because you start spending some money and you release that initial pressure valve like we talked about. So anytime you start this kind of mailing campaign, you always see a little bit of a bump right up front. And sometimes people get excited by that and they say, okay, you know, we got 10 calls, we made 3 sales, it cost us $4,000, that's great. And they sort of expect that the next time that they send it out, they'll get that same response. And usually you'll see a decent response the first 1, maybe 2, sometimes 3 mailings, and then you'll see it drop off because you've released that pressure.
Absolutely, I understand.
But now you're starting to prime the whale. I was in Hawaii last week watching whales. You prime the well, not the whale, and you got to start sort of pumping. And this is a little bit frustrating because you don't necessarily see as many calls, but you're still spending the money while you're sort of priming that pump.
Absolutely.
So what you need to look at is, let's say that we committed to a mailing program for 3 years. Now, let me be very clear. I did not just tell you, hey, commit to a mailing program for 3 years. This is all hypothetical. We run the numbers and we see what it looks like, okay?
Yes.
Because here's what you're going to learn through this discussion. You probably already know this, but just for the sake of everybody on the call. It's important what you put in these mailers, but how often you send them actually is probably more important. Because I'm looking at the one that you've got on here on the screen. Is your roof ready for another 100 years? Could we potentially write a better postcard than this? We probably could. Is this a horrible postcard? Absolutely not. I'm not looking at this postcard going, geez, Bob, I'm so embarrassed for you to submit this to the ad flag. No, I mean, it kind of says, you know, hey, if you've got one of these tricky kind of roofs, you know, there's maybe some things that you need done. Let's take a look at the back of it. Call the experts at Renaissance Roofing. Let our service technicians handle your immediate needs. So we can clean this up. We can make this stronger. I don't want you to be discouraged that this is horrible, but I also don't want you to get cocky that this is awesome, because it's probably somewhere right in the middle. So if it's a 5 right now, that's going to get the job done. I'd rather send this postcard out multiple times than not send any postcards out any time. Let's see if we can get it up to a 7 or 8 or 9 or a 10. But for first part of this, let's just look at the numbers. Let's assume that through some pre-planning and printing efficiencies, that we can get the cost of this down to about 35 cents each.
Okay.
And let's just toy with, I don't want to give you a heart attack or anything. I'm not telling you to spend this money, but just for grins, let's toy with sending this out twice a month.
Okay.
And that's going to cost us $7,000 per month at 35 cents times 12 months is $84,000 a year. And let's say that we committed to it for 3 years, which is $252,000. And you're probably looking at that going, hey, that's a pretty nice little house there.
Right.
And it is. Well, let's look at what we would expect to return on a $252,000 3-year. Of course, from a cash flow standpoint, it's more manageable than pulling that out of your pocket all at once.
Sure.
But from a expected sales over the course of 3 years, if we used a 10% as a metric, we'd want to get about $2.5 million in sales. Okay? Does that sound fair enough?
Yes.
Okay, and if we took your $20,000 average sale and we divided it by $2.5 million, the quick math says, what is that? Come on, Rich, 2.5 million. This should be easy enough math that I don't use my calculator, but I'm so spoiled by my calculator. It's 125 roofs. Okay, so here's what we have to ask ourselves. First of all, out of 10,000 roofs, do you believe, based on what you know about these types of roofs and your experience in the marketplace, do you believe that there are at least 125 roofs that will legitimately need to be replaced in the next 3 years?
Yes.
Okay, if you had to guess with your expert knowledge what the number is that legitimately need to be replaced, and let's even define this a little more tightly. There's some roofs that kind of need to be replaced, but they could probably go another year or two. You know what I'm talking about? And then there's ones that they need to be replaced.
Right.
How many out of 10,000 do you think will really need to be replaced in the next 10 years? Like, if you don't do it, you're asking for trouble kind of roofs. Now, take into account, out of the 10,000, some have already been replaced by somebody else, and you don't know about it.
Right.
You know, all those kinds of factors.
Oh, I think that, 10% of those roofs are in dire need of replacement.
1,000 roofs.
At minimum, yeah. Okay,
now, we're going to play a little game here, and this sounds like a silly game, and people might hear this and say, gosh, Rich, this is kind of stupid. But this game is meant to test your conviction on what you just said, okay? And I would encourage others on this call to use a similar approach to test your convictions, because there's a lot of money at stake here. So we've got to make sure that you mean what you said. All right, so let's say that we went out and we were able to somehow inspect all 10,000 roofs. And I was able to gather the results, and we were able to judge how many are, quote unquote, to use your word, in dire need of replacement versus, semi-need of replacement versus, not really needing to be replaced at all right now. If the number came back less than 1,000 that are in dire repair, unfortunately, we're going to put you in front of the firing squad and we're going to take care of business, okay?
Sure.
Are you that confident?
Yes.
Firing squad confident?
I'm firing squad confident.
Oh, if it's $9.99, we're pulling the trigger, man.
I'm pretty confident.
Okay. What if the number was 2,000? Are you firing squad confident?
Yeah, no, I'm not. No.
Okay, so your tolerance is somewhere between 1 and 2,000. If it was 800, then you're feeling really confident.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Because it really, I'm exaggerating and I'm trying to make a point, and I know you understand that, but it really is kind of a life or death situation. And here's what I mean. If you were to spend $250,000 and it doesn't work, that's the equivalent of the firing squad, right?
Sure, absolutely.
But The opposite of that is, well, if it really is 1,000, then the opposite of the firing squad is, you know, I'm going to hand you $1 million check.
Right.
Because the reality is, if you do $2.5 million in sales, and let's just roughly say that your costs are half for the install labor and the materials and all that, and your margins may be different. It's not important for this call, but for the general concept, let's say your margins are half. That's $1.25 million. You're going to spend $250,000. So it's really $1 million contribution to your overhead if you can pull this off.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that's pretty powerful. So it's firing squad or $1 million check. All right.
Right.
So let's now look at this. Here's what you've just said. At firing squad peril, I would bet my life that there's 1,000 roofs. And here's what I'm telling you. Well, to hit our numbers, you only need 125, or let's call it roughly 10%, maybe even 11 or 12%. That's all you need out of the dire needs. Now, here's the problem that the marketplace has right now. I understand human nature. That's what makes me good at marketing. And here's what human nature says. Human nature says, if my roof isn't collapsing on my house and leaking where I can see it in a visible, big time, holy crap way, then it's probably okay.
Correct.
And I'm probably not going to deal with it. So out of that 1,000 that dire need it, you know, it's going to be a small fraction of them that would agree with you. Yeah, my roof is in dire need of replacement. So part of the reason when you send out your mailer and you get 8 or 10 responses, that's the only ones that really recognize, hey, it's dire. And those are the ones that, number one, believe it's dire, and number two, have enough confidence in you based on prior experience, which in their case, remember, looking from their perspective, is very little prior exposure to you.
Right.
So these are conspiring against you. So if we were able to put together a postcard or mailing type program where we sent them a mailer every 2 weeks and we told them the following things. We told them what the symptoms and signs of their roof needing to be replaced were. We gave them horror stories of people that didn't know. Not in a hey, you know, the Friday the 13th guy is coming to chop your face off kind of a way, but in a, you know, fairly dramatic way. Number 3, we told them who you were and what you were all about and what your vendor selection criteria, hot buttons, and expertise were, how to choose a contractor, what to look for and what to watch out for, how you have an expertise in this particular kind of roofs and other companies very likely do not, and all of these things that we would expect to be part of your case. And we start putting this in front of their face again and again and again and again and again and again and again. Here's what happens. You start to wear down their resistance. You start to open their eyes to the problems. You start to make them very sensitive to the things that they otherwise are probably not going to pay attention to. And you also simultaneously convert them to thinking that your company is the best solution, because most people don't know who the best solution is, because most people don't have a roofing company, you know, on speed dial on their iPhone. They just don't.
Right.
You know, I've got 3 different pizza companies I can dial straight from my iPhone, but I don't have a roofing company.
Exactly.
So, you know, this is kind of what you're up against is, do you feel confident to spend that kind of money for that kind of reward? Now, I can tell you this. This is an absolute fact. If you don't commit to that kind of a mailing program, you can absolutely expect to not reap that harvest.
Right.
Okay? Now, here's what I am also not telling you. I'm not telling you if you do this, it will for sure work. This is called, you know, I've got this thing I'm working on over here at MYM. It's called the Marketing Crystal Ball. And I haven't quite finished it yet. I keep working on it, but I need a little more time to finish it. I wish I could finish it, because then I could see what's going to happen. So to mitigate these factors, what we do is we say, okay, well, what can you commit to? And how much budget would you be willing to commit to? And can we maybe start with 1,000 instead of 10,000 on this list?
Right.
Or maybe 500 instead of 10,000, or maybe 3,000 instead of 10,000. And we adjust the budget to a number that's comfortable for you. And maybe the number 250,000 over 3 years is already comfortable to you. You know, it's not a function of, how much money is it. It's a function of how much money can comfortably come out of your cash flow,
right.
that you're not going to feel like if this either A, fails, or B, takes a long time to mature, your business won't suffer. You can still make payroll and you can pay your mortgage and keep
right.
your family happy and all those kinds of things. So you don't need to divulge that information on this call. There's too many people on it and it's too personal of a piece of information. But I would ask you to consider this. What is the number that you would feel comfortable spending out of cash flow each month? And then I would recommend that you do exactly what I said and put together a 2 times per month mailer. Because here's why. Monthly mailers, in my opinion, are too far apart. It takes a full year or maybe 2 years for people to really start to realize, hey, there's this company that keeps mailing me. You start hitting them every couple weeks, and they start to feel like, hey, this is coming all the time, which is what you want. Then you take advantage of this principle called left hand, right hand trash can. They see your postcard, they put it in their other hand as they're throwing it in the trash, and you communicate something. But when you start saying things to people like, hey, you've got a historic roof, hey, you're listed on the historic, what town are you in?
Belvedere.
What is it called?
Belvedere.
Belvedere. Is that the name of the major area in the whole?
No, it's Chicagoland.
Okay, Chicago. Your home is listed on the Chicagoland historical roofs, listing.
Right.
And they look at that and they go, it is? Now, the listing just happens to be, your database.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're experts in roofing. The fact is that these roofs tend to not be roofed very often because people think that the roofs will last forever. And the reality is that's true. They do last a long time because these are high quality roofs. But the other fact is most of them are anywhere from 40 to 80 years old.
Right.
And I can put a roof on your house that'll last another 50 to 100 years. Problem is the materials that they were using 40 to 80 years ago didn't last 50 to 100 years. They lasted 20 to 50 years.
Right.
And do the math. There's a problem. And, just start educating people, start getting them to see this. So my recommendation to you very strongly is find a number that you're comfortable spending and start getting these out there every couple weeks, maybe 25 times a year, something like that. You probably would want to create somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 to 15 different mailers and just rotate them. You don't need 25 mailers to hit them every 2 weeks. You need about 15 that you can rotate through.
Okay.
And to be able to accomplish that, it's as simple as going through the methodology workbook, looking at what the benefits of ownership are, the objections to ownership, vendor selection hot buttons. I would probably put a ratio in your case of somewhere in the neighborhood of about 20, 20, 60, or maybe 30, 20, 50 in terms of benefits of ownership, objections to ownership, vendor selection. No, you'll note that I weighted heavily in terms of vendor selection because I think the idea and the fact that you specialize in these kinds of roofs needs to be a major theme that they see over and over again.
Yeah, you can have the most expensive material, but if it's installed incorrectly,
it's
worthless.
The reality is when you start to say we're what do you want to call this? Classic roofs, historic,
yeah, traditional.
Historic roof experts. I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing there's not a lot of companies that are out there spouting that off.
No.
So sometimes just saying things enough times, people start to go, oh, geez, So for instance, do you think that Volvo is really the safest car?
I think so because they told me that.
Yeah, I personally have no knowledge of this subject. I mean, you ram a semi-truck into it, you're probably toast no matter what car it is. But, hey, I'll take my chances in a Volvo, I guess, because that's what they've been telling me. So it's kind of the same thing. When you start saying, hey, we're this expert, and it's a fairly niched thing, and it's something that's fairly clear and obvious that they can mentally immediately validate, hey, that's the kind of roof I have.
Right.
And then I would start to brand this as some sort of a historic roofing registry or something similar to that sounds very official and it sounds almost prestigious. Then, people are going to, feel a little bit more special and prestigious if you start saying that. And then you can have standing offers for inspections and things like that. And, I would almost, I'm throwing out an idea here that I haven't thought all the way through. So just kind of take it and, do whatever you want with it. look at it and see if it makes sense or not. I would almost take this idea of the historical roof registry and take it to almost an official, sort of faux official level, where you become the recommended roofing company to take care of the homes on the residential historic roofing registry kind of a thing. Are you following where I'm going with that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then people kind of start to look at that and go, oh, well, geez, I guess if I have a problem, I guess I need to go to the company that's, you know, designated to deal with the, you know, residential historic roof registry roofs, which
Right.
I guess I'm on.
Right.
You ever got those notices in the mail from companies that are trying to sell you and renew your update your own domain name?
Right. Right.
And you
Yeah,
kind of look at it, and they look very official, and you think, oh, I guess this is the company that does that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's almost kind of like that. And it's such a unique situation that I really believe you could pull it off, number one, without being dishonest, number two, without getting really silly and stupid with it, but with sort of putting an official thing in place that people look at and go, okay, yeah, I guess this is the company that handles that.
Right. Right.
We've done this before with a roofing company. I had a roofing customer that was in a situation where one of the major roofing material providers, I think it was GAF or CertainTeed or something like that. Anyway, they'd had a bad batch of roofing materials for like 4 years. This may ring a bell to you because I think it was fairly widespread. Mm-hmm. Anyway, there was coming a period of time where the roofs that had poor materials were recalled, but they were ending the recall period, and you had to take action by a certain date or you lost out. And they started mailing like crazy and actually doing seminars and things like that, telling people, hey, you know, it implied that we're the official company on behalf of whatever it was, CertainTeed Roofing. And everybody looked at it and thought, oh, geez, this is CertainTeed Roofing that's reaching out to me, which, in fact, it was not.
Right, right. Yeah, I think you could look at that and explore a lot of opportunities there.
So this, to me, this is very interesting. I love it when a company has an extraordinarily targeted list that you can just reach out to and start pounding the living daylights out of them, in a nice way, of course, because it's niched.
Right. I have a question.
Go.
We find that our customers don't buy in the first quarter. We're getting a snowstorm today. There's not going to be any roofs sold in the next 2 weeks here, other than those people that have acute problems. So would you recommend, there's just a period of time when we don't sell anything. Do we force feed them at that point, or we just back off and not market to them during that period of time?
Personally, I would just run the program.
Okay. Well,
because here's why. The idea is called accelerated discontentment. So let's say that you hold off for the first quarter of the year every year. So January through March, nothing, right? Mm-hmm. Well, then the problems start to manifest themselves during April and May, and this is typically when people perceive that, my roof doesn't have snow and it's a good time to do it, and all those kinds of things that are human nature that you really can't butt up against, right?
Right.
Well, if you've quit priming the pump and April 1st rolls around and they go, crap, my roof's got a problem, you're not there.
Takes that much longer, right?
Then, maybe if you've been let's say you did it 9 months, then quit, and then 9 more months, then quit, and then in the third, set of 9 months, they might go, geez, who's that company that used to mail me? I would rather just have it in their face.
Understood. Okay.
And maybe you can adjust your message during those months. Hey, you know what? Most people don't do their roofs during the month of the first quarter, whatever. Here's why, but here's why, you need to take a look. I don't know. Maybe you could adjust it, but I wouldn't necessarily expect more. But I would definitely be thinking in terms of priming that pump during that period.
Sure. This particular postcard is the largest postcard you can send in a first class. Does it matter?
Is it 6 by 11?
Yes.
Yeah, I love 6 by 11. I think they're big. They're relatively cheap. You start going bigger than that, you can actually do up to 15 inches in first class, but they get very expensive. So this is a good size for a reasonable price, and yeah, I would roll with it.
Okay.
What I would do though is, I would think in terms of an entire system.
Right.
So I would lay these out, and I would create the entire 15 postcards all at once. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then you can start looking at some efficiencies in mailing and printing, not in mailing as much as in printing. You know, you're going to get an efficiency if you print. Let's say you're going to do 1,000 instead of 10,000 every 2 weeks. Well, if you print 6 months at a time, you're going to get a lot better deal than if you print 2 months at a time.
Right.
So you can work through that yourself. If you'd like to ask Dale in our office for some help with that, he can help you with that as well.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, I think that's all we have time for based on a large load of submissions today. So I appreciate you participating, Bob.
No problem.
All right, we'll see you later.
Thank you.
All right, let's see here. Next is Sarah. Okay, let me see if I can find you on here, Sarah. There you are. Sarah, you there?
I am.
How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm all right. Let's go back from vacation. I really don't want to be back from vacation. You know how that feels?
I can hear that.
Well, hopefully you can't hear that. Hopefully I sound like I'm engaged here. I'm just kidding. No, I'm good. So I've got you. Is this the postcard we're going to look at here?
Yes.
Okay. And is there a back to this or just the front?
There should be a back. I sent both a front and a back.
Side 1. Side 2. I see side 1. Let me check my email here for side 2. Okay, something's coming in here. Why don't you tell me about this while I'm looking that side 2 up?
Okay, well, basically, just what you were talking to Bob about, that's what we're trying to do is put together, I'm trying to come up with 13 different postcards to start off our mailing campaign. And we're going to, we haven't got a target market yet or anything. My whole gamut right now is just to come up with 13 different postcards that we can do every other week, sending out to a specific neighborhood, specific homes.
Now, so what kinds of homes do you want to send stuff out to?
Houses that need siding. I'll also do some with windows. I'm going to kind of go back and forth between the seamless siding and windows. But once we go in, what we do is we go through and do a drive-by, and we check off the houses that don't need siding or don't need windows, so we don't waste our money on them.
Okay, so you've got a definitive list of people that have a specific need. You're going to develop it, but this is who you're going to mail to, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. And you'll remember from training, it's good to know what marketing pieces you're creating for what target market before you start creating them. So that's why I wanted to know. Okay, I've got this on the screen here. You see this on the screen? Now your neighbors know how to paint. So these are two extraordinarily different looking things. Tell me what these are all about.
Well,
I would never guess this is side 1 and side 2 of the same thing.
I know. Well, and that's what I'm just kind of putting everything together. I have 4 different sides, front and back. And, now that I'm looking at it, maybe I should have done a different one for the back. But basically, we're just trying to get people to know that, you don't have to paint. There's a permanent solution to painting. You don't have to worry about rotten wood or you falling off a ladder or anything. We can take care of it, and you'll never have to worry about it again.
Okay. So, let's look at 2 things here. First of all, is this supposed to be a mock-up, or is this like the final thing?
Oh, it's just a mock-up. Everything's a mock-up. Nothing's final.
Well, I mean, because this one looks pretty decent. I've got some comments for you on it. This one here looks not so much.
Okay.
So if it's a mock-up, fantastic. I mean, you should see my mock-ups. I draw them by hand, and they look terrible. So I don't want to judge anybody's mock-ups. The permanent paint solution, the last paint you'll ever buy, is that for siding, or is that you're going to do a paint?
It's a siding, I know.
Well, so that starts to feel really weaselly to me.
Mm-hmm.
The permanent paint solution, the last paint you'll ever buy, and it turns out it's siding. I'm a little uncomfortable with that, even though I just got done telling a guy to pretend like he was the Historic Roofing Coalition of America or something like that. But this still is a little bit, when I find out what it is, I feel like I'm going to get some paint, and then when I find out it's not paint, it sort of immediately makes me go, oh, well, I don't want that. I don't even really consider what that is. When it's not what I thought it was, it kind of turns me off. So I think what I'd rather do is something more like this, okay? You know, how would you like to never have to paint, replace rotting wood falling off the ladder ever again? So I've given them the benefit of ownership without really telling them what it was. And when I tell them that it's siding, it's a little easier to swallow than, oh, by the way, that paint that you just bought actually isn't paint, it's actually siding.
Yeah.
Obviously, they wouldn't actually buy it before they knew what it was, but you get the idea.
Right.
So first thing I would do on this postcard is I would do what we talked about at the end of that last caller with Bob, where I said I like the 6x11 postcards. This appears to be a 6x9 postcard.
Uh-huh.
The reason I like 6x11 is it just gives you more space. And I think the cost differential between a 6x11 and a 6x9 is literally a couple pennies. And absolutely, they do add up over time. But I think the bigger card makes up for that couple pennies. I think it costs maybe 3% more, but it has 27% more bang.
Oh, wow.
I just made that number up, but you get the idea.
I'll go with it.
Okay, but if you have a chance, go grab a 6x11 postcard. A lot of companies send them out, so they shouldn't be that hard to find in your own mailbox, and hold it up against it, and you'll see that extra 2 inches makes quite a big difference, okay? So let's now take a look at this postcard. Is this a headline that you wrote based on training and methodology workbook?
Yes.
Okay, it kind of looks like it. That's what I was thinking. So I think we got a really good start here. What I would like to do is I would like to focus and concentrate on the way that this headline is put on this page. Because what we've got now is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines in the main headline, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 in a subheadline. So that's 11, and then we've got 12, 13, 14, 15 total lines kind of stacked up like a Jenga tower here.
Yes.
And I'm a little bit afraid.
There's a lot of words.
So here's what I want to ask you. What words do you think are the most important that we really want people to see? Not that we don't want them to see the rest, but we can emphasize things by the way that we place them on the page.
Right. I mean, I think our main would be, of course, the steel siding, seamless steel siding. And then you never have to paint, replace rotten wood. I mean, if we have to get rid of worry about falling off a ladder, we can get rid of that. But paint, replace rotten wood, seamless steel siding.
Okay, let's do this. Let's open a Microsoft Word. Now, I'm going to pull this over like that. I'm going to pull this over like, whoops, I thought like that. That's not what I was trying to do. Okay. I was trying to do this. Okay. Now your neighbors will never have to paint, replace rotten wood. So here's what I would like to see. I would like to see this. Pang. I would like to see this. Okay, bold. I would like to see this pop off the page. Never paint.
Okay.
So we're going to have to reword it a little bit to get rid of the words have to. Not that they're bad words. There's nothing wrong with them at all. It kind of ruins the flow of never paint. See, because what I can do now is I can come up here above it, and I can say, now your neighbors, and of course I want this to be much smaller, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now your neighbors, I'm going to go even one smaller, we're going to have to reword it to make it fit. But you get the idea. You see what's going to pop off the page here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now your neighbors will never have to paint, replace rotten wood, or worry about falling off a ladder ever again. All right. Now your neighbors. This is supposed to be, what, a proximity type card? Somebody
near
them? Okay.
Yes, because that's what we've done in the past, is always sent them to homes where we've worked in or something, but we've never done it consistently. Now we want to do it consistently.
Consistency, wow, major concept. Okay, now your neighbors will never paint, replace rotten wood, or fall off a ladder Now, that's kind of an awkward thing to say because they may fall off a ladder while they're changing a light bulb, but let's worry about that in a minute. All right, now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of skinny this up. Fall off a ladder. Okay, so here's what we do now. We make it a little bit bigger. Whoa, that's a little too big. 48, 48. Okay. Now, see, here's what I've just done. And this is obviously a very, very rough mock-up using very non-precise tools in Microsoft Word. But even still, you can kind of get a look. If you just glance at it, it says never paint ever again, which is pretty strong. And if you look at it more closely, now your neighbors will never paint, replace rod and wood, or fall off a ladder ever again. And I think we do need to tweak that fall off a ladder thing because it's not technically true.
Okay.
But you get the idea here. So all I'm trying to help you see is let's make sure this is easier to read. I might even come in here and change this text to sentence case. That's not sentence case. I don't want sentence case. I want capitalize each word. Okay. Now your neighbors will never paint, replace rod and wood, or fall off a ladder ever again. It becomes a little bit easier to read when I took the all caps away from the middle stuff. Did you see that?
Yes.
Okay. And then I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it down here so I don't have to change the font size. And then I'm going to type over it. Seamless steel siding is like a magic no paint, never dull, always fresh, you know, bullet. I don't want to say bullet. It sounds very not good in today's day and age where we don't want to shoot people anymore. We should be able to shoot people, not anymore. Seamless steel siding, like a magic, no paint, never dull, always fresh, you know, thingy. This is the process, right? And I put that on there to be funny, but to show you, it's okay to just put something on there so you can kind of take a look at it. We can always come back and edit, modify, and change these later, right? If you try to wordsmith every single word as you go, it backs up your brain and makes you, mentally constipated. We don't want to do that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now your neighbors will never paint, replace rod and wood, or fall off ladder ever again. Seamless siding, it's like the magic. Now, look what I'm doing here. By the way, you notice the shift that I did from yours to mine. I used the same format. I used the same general flow, but I made a subtle but I think important change. Instead of simply saying, hey, they did this and maybe you should too, what I've done is I've actually tried to come in and re-articulate the benefits one more time.
Okay.
I think when you tell people things like, hey, you should do this, I think a natural reaction is sort of like, this is all subconscious, by the way. The natural subconscious reaction is, yeah, of course you would tell me I should do that. Duh, it's a postcard. You're trying to tell me something. Mm-hmm. And at the expense of telling them, what they need to know about it again. So let's clean this up now. Seamless steel siding is your never paint, never chip or crack, never chip, crack, or warp, always looks brand new secret weapon. Okay, now I'm not saying this is great either, but this is definitely an improvement over what was just there. You see that iteration? Get it on the paper so you can look at it, and then you come back and edit it. Seamless steel siding is like your, I'm going to get rid of the word like because it's not like, it is your never paint, never chip. Now watch this. Underline, chip, crack, or warp. See how I want to tie those together and make them visually together?
Yes.
I'm also going to push this down. Okay, and I think I'm going to probably make this all a little teeny bit smaller relative to what's above it. Seamless steel siding is your never paint, never chip, crack, or warp, always look brand new. I'm also going to do this. I want this always look brand new to tie together a little better. So I'm going to italicize it and see what that does to it. And I might even come in here and put hyphens in here to really tie it all together. Whoops. Seamless steel siding is your never paint, never chip, crack, or warp, always looks brand new secret weapon. Okay, so here's what I've accomplished. Now your neighbors will never paint, replace rod and wood, or fall off a ladder ever again. Now that ever is a little bit redundant, but I'm using it there sort of as a purposeful hyperbole in this headline. I want it to be a little bit more powerful. And I also want this never paint ever again to jump off the page. Seamless steel siding is your never paint, never chip, crack, or warp, always looks brand new secret weapon. Now, I'm not sure I like secret weapon because it still is a little, you know, James Bondy. And Jane Smith might be getting this postcard and she might not really like these secret weapons. So let's work on that a little bit. Seamless steel siding is your never paint, never chip, crack, or warp. By the way, I don't know if chip, crack, or warp is the right thing, but, you know, whatever. Maybe you could change one of those words. Always looks brand new. So instead of secret weapon, what can we say? You got to do some of the work here, Sarah. Come on.
I know. Well, I did, and then you just changed it.
Seamless steel siding is your never paint, never chip, crack, or warp. Always look brand new. What? Secret weapon.
I'm a thinker. I'm not a doer. I'm a thinker.
I'm not a doer. Wow. you may want to check into getting that updated. Seamless steel siding is your never paint, never chip, crack, or warp. Always looks brand new. Something. We'll fix it later.
Yeah.
Okay. So I like this, though. I mean, here's what I want you to see. I want you to see that this is good. All I've done is help you increase the power of this a little bit. But I like the format. I like the words going down the side of the page like this. I like the picture of the house that verifies that, hey, this is a nice-looking house. Hey, that doesn't look like what I would think steel would look like. That just looks like regular, nice-looking siding. Okay. And then you've got, you know, this other stuff there. Now, on the other side of this postcard, you know, this is tripping me out a little bit.
I know. And then I did make another one, but it looks like the one that we just worked on, but it's got a picture of a different house. I mean, it's identical, and it just says in really bold, it says never paint again. And it says now you can install seamless steel siding that will never fade, never crack, never warp.
Okay, good.
That's all it says. We've
changed this front to where it says your neighbors will never paint, replace, blah, blah, blah. You can see it on the screen there. What I would do is this. I like a format. Hang on just a second. Let me find something and I'll show it to you. Let's see. Let me find one of infinity that I have. Okay, I'm going to pull this over here, and I'm going to share my screen again. Do you see my screen now? It's got yellow postcards on the right?
Yes.
Okay, so what you're seeing here is the front side of a postcard is actually on the bottom. And then on top, this is how I like to do the second side of a postcard. I like to have a major headline and then some text that people can read if they feel so inclined. And then, of course, the contact information, some kind of offer. And you can see I'll just click through a couple of these here on this particular series. Okay, and if I go to some other versions of this, okay, here's for a box company. You see we've got the front headline and box. Now this one I actually flipped on the side, but you can still see how this would work. If I flip this over, let's see here. Okay, so we got the headline, we got a little bit of text, we've got some things that they can look at. You getting the idea?
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at.
So on this other side, this is where I need to put more information.
Well, and it needs to be connected to what you said on the front side. Okay, so
right.
Let's look at Fantasy Tan. This is a company that sells tanning solutions to salons. So we've got on the front side, we've got the picture. That would be analogous to your picture of the beautiful house, right? Our tans look better because our solutions are formulated better. Fantasy Tan solutions deliver the perfect natural looking tan every time. Now here's what you're also seeing on these 3 or 4 that I'm showing you very quickly. You're seeing different looks and feels for the front. I mean, there's not one set way that you do it. It's just you kind of make it look how you like it, okay? Then on the back of this, though, all spray tanning solutions are not created equal, not even close. Then we've got a couple sub-headlines that are a little bit smaller. We've got a little bit of text here. Do this next. We've got the picture of the guy tanning. So you get the idea of that. Here's another series. What if your architect could upsell? We've been known to add thousands of dollars in sales. If you look at the back of this one, we don't only design, we upsell. Hire the architect who's also a covert sales agent. Here's some of our services. Here's some offers. I could show you 127 examples of this.
Right.
This is all fronts, I think, on this. I don't think this one has backs. Okay, so here's a front. When it comes to seeing the dentist, are you a big chicken or a little chicken? Relax, we can help with either kind. And then on the back, the last dentist you'll ever need, period. If you're really afraid, if you're a big chicken, if you're a little chicken, here's 7 reasons why we're awesome. Here's some offers. So this is the kind of stuff that we want on the back of these postcards.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So there you have it. I mean, I think you're on a good path here. Just keep rolling.
Okay.
By the way, let me just point one thing out. This is probably very obvious to you. Plus, I brought it up at training, but for those who it's not as obvious, the front of the postcard is the side that has the address area and the stamp area on it. So this is something that a lot of people get wrong. They look at the big side of the postcard where they want their main message, and they put it actually on the back. But mail always gets sorted where the address sides are up, and that's how people are going to read their mail. So you want to make sure you have your main headline here, and then as you flip it over, you've got a headline that continues to flow. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen a headline on the front of the postcard, which the person thought was the back, that really doesn't make any sense in the context of people reading it first. So you just got to be careful with that, okay?
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right. That's all we got time for. We got to move along. We've got a full load today.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate your time.
All right, bye-bye.
All righty. And let's move on to number 3. John Schroeder. Let's see if I can pull this up. Okay, let me get rid of that. Let me put this up bigger, and then let me see if I can find John over here. Yeah, we got a ton of people on this call today. It's hard to find people. Let's see. John Schroeder. There you are. John, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
You know what? If I was doing any better, they'd have to institutionalize me. I don't remember talking to you before.
No, we're.
Who are you?
I'm with Bordner Installation Group.
Oh, okay, Bordner. That I do know. So I probably have talked to you, and I just didn't remember the name.
Yes, we did our intro call.
Okay. Forgive me for not remembering your name.
Weeks ago. Oh, you're fine.
Okay, good. So we've got Entercom Kansas City. Let's go ahead and read through this. Before we do, why don't you tell me what you're trying to accomplish with this ad?
Intercom writes our scripts for us. I got to be honest, this is my biggest weak point in marketing, and unfortunately what you need the most, and that is copywriting. And so they write this for us, and I don't like it. I know it's not good, but I don't know enough to come up with something better.
Okay. As a side note, this is something that we may want to have a side conversation about in terms of helping you with your radio in general.
Okay.
Put that as a side note, but let's talk about this right now as our main entree, okay?
Perfect.
So let's just go ahead and read it and see what we think here. When the cold winter months hit us like they are now, most of us think now is the time. Now is not the time to have any work done on the exterior of my home. Big mistake. Bordner Installation Group can still do all your home exterior projects and save you big money before the spring rush starts. Not convinced yet? Well, I'm surprised. We've given you so much information. You should already be convinced. To save you even more than the lowest prices of the year, Bordner will take 10% off or 18 months, no interest financing. Call Bordner Installation Group now at its phone number and get the best price of the year and save 10% off for 18 months, no interest financing. Get all your projects done now by the best company for the best price. Bordner has satisfied over 60,000 customers. Become one of them. Call us or go to our website. Call us or go to our website. Okay. You know, one of the things that jumps out at me as a deficiency in this commercial is it doesn't describe what types of projects you actually are trying to tell people to do. You use this generic term, exterior projects, which is sort of inside speak, and I don't think people have any idea what that means. Does that mean you're going to come, you know, do my lawn or plant new shrubs or build me a wall or paint my house or fix my gutters or clean them out or, you know, it could be anything.
Right.
In fact, I think when people see do all your home exterior projects, I think that people's major thought process is probably has to do more with lawn and garden kinds of things.
Right.
Now, inside the industry, we know that exterior means windows and siding and stuff like that. But so the first thing I would do is make that explicitly clear of what it is you're trying to sell people, because I don't think they really know, which obviously is a huge problem.
Right.
So that being said, let me ask you this: is this where you want to go with this ad? Is to showcase this 10% discount? I think it's okay.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with this.
We've been running this offer for a few months now. I'm not sure how much longer we're going to run it, but that's our current offer.
Okay, so here's a simple principle for you. The principle is tell people what you want them to know in as straightforward of a way as you can possibly think of. Let's start with that, okay?
Okay.
So they're trying to do this on here, but I think we can do actually a little bit, or maybe a lot better. So what I'm going to not do first is I'm not going to write an ad. I'm just going to kind of talk through what I want people to know, okay?
All right.
So first of all, tell me specifically what you want to sell them. Windows, siding, roofing?
Yes. Yeah, roofing, stucco, windows, and siding. And one of the things that we've struggled with is we've been around for a long time, but we're known for roofing. And a lot of our customers, when we meet with them, don't even realize we do anything but roofing.
Okay. Noted. I don't know if we're going to address that issue here or not, but
Okay.
I am aware of that from previous conversation with you. Okay. And so what do people think that they don't want to do that kind of stuff because it's winter?
Right.
Okay. I might take an approach on this that goes something like this. Now, again, I want you to pay close attention to this methodology I'm using, which is I'm kind of going through the concept first. I'm not per se writing the ad, okay?
Okay.
You saw me do this on paper with the last caller. Do you remember how I put it on I wrote it out, and then I went back and I modified it and edited it and so forth, right?
Right.
So let's do the same thing. We're going to do it verbally here. So let's start with this. One of the last things people think about when the weather is cold exterior remodeling projects. That's totally understandable. When it's 30 degrees out, having new windows, see what I'm doing? I'm coming back with the specifics, right? Windows, siding, stucco, or roofing just doesn't cross people's minds. Now, I'm saying this slow because I'm writing it down here.
Yes, same here.
Okay, so let's go back and look what I just wrote. One of the last things people think about when the weather's cold is exterior remodeling. That's totally understandable. When it's 30 degrees out, having new window, siding, stucco, roofing, installing, I'm going to put installing, new windows, siding, stucco, or roofing just doesn't cross people's minds. What if I told you that because this is the off season, we'd be willing, now I understand they don't know who we are at this point, but it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care who you are. They don't even know what you're talking about. So let's tell them what we're talking about. Then we'll come back and tell them who we are, okay? We'd be willing to give you a massive discount far more than any other time of the year just to keep our crews busy. That's right. At Bordner Installation, during February and March, our crews sometimes almost come to a standstill. Now, this might be too long. I understand that. I'm just kind of trying to get my thought out on paper, right?
Right.
Standstill. That's why we're willing to give you a full, bona fide, no tricks, no BS, I might actually put some tricks and some BS in this. I might up it to 20%. 10% to me doesn't sound all that significant. It sounds like something you might just offer anyway. Or I might up it to an odd number, 18% discount, or 18 months. Now, see what I've just done? Mm-hmm. I've tied this number to both offers. 18 months, no interest on any window, siding, stucco, or roofing project. Okay, so let's go back and see what we've done so far. One of the last things people think about when the weather is cold is exterior remodeling. That's totally understandable. When it's 30 degrees out, installing new windows, siding, stucco, roofing just doesn't cross people's minds. What if I told you that because this is the off season, we'd be willing to give you a massive discount, far more than any other time of the year, just to keep our crews busy? That's right. At Bordner Installation, during February and March, our crews sometimes come almost to a standstill. That's why we're willing to give you a full, bona fide, no tricks, no BS, 18% discount or 18 months, no interest on any window, siding, roofing project. This offer is strictly limited to sales during the month of March. Our busy season starts in April, and our discounts go down by at least half. So if you're thinking about this, if you've even considered it, give us a call. We'd be happy to give you a quote. This offer is extremely limited. You must call now. If you don't feel like you have a need, fine, wait till later. But if you want to take advantage of this offer, call us right now. Okay, that's kind of where I'd want to go with this ad.
Right.
Now, here's what I like about this ad. First of all, we've told them explicitly what it is we're selling, so that's good. Number two, we've given them a rationale and enough specificity in the ad that the offer becomes relatively reasonably believable. It's not just, hey, it's cold, so we'll give you a discount. Okay, that's true. That's the genesis of the offer, but let's show a little soft underbelly here. And this kind of makes people nervous to say things like, during this time of the year, our crews come to a standstill, and people say things like, well, I don't want my competitors to think that. Why would you give a crap what your competitors think?
Right.
Hey, competitors, we're going out of business. Okay, great. Who cares? I think to say to people in an environment of advertising, hey, our crews are slow because it's cold out, I think people hear that and go, yeah, I totally see that. That makes sense. I don't think your company's stupid or sucks or is going out of business or is weak because of that statement. I think it just seems obvious. That I never really thought of it, but now that you mention it, yeah, of course. So I kind of like that as a way to do that. And what you might want to do is find a couple of different ways to approach this and cut maybe 2 or 3 different commercials that you rotate in the schedule so that it's not just one treatment of it. So another way to treat that would be one of the worst things that I hate in this business is our sales crews and installation crews sitting around twiddling their thumbs doing nothing. Now think of that for an introduction to a headline or to radio ad. One of the things I hate more than anything else is my sales crews and installation crews sitting around twiddling their thumbs doing nothing. Now that's an interesting way to start an ad. People are going to go, who is this and who are these people and why are they twiddling their thumbs? And there's some very mental image rich words in there, twiddling their thumbs. What a great thing to say. And the word hate, one of the things I hate more than anything else, one of the things I hate the most is my sales crews and installation crews sitting around doing nothing, twiddling their thumbs, wasting time. Yeah, that's what happens over here at Bordner Installation during March. It's still cold. People are kind of not thinking about home improvements, windows, siding, roofing, stucco, and so they don't pick up the phone and call. They think, well, I'll wait till April. And you know what? I totally understand that. There's the second time I've done that in 2 ads. Why do you think I say I totally understand that? I'm validating their position is what I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying, oh, come on, you're so stupid. How could you be so stupid to think that? Come on, people.
Right.
I totally understand that. But you know what? I've got to keep my crews busy. That's why in March only, we're going to have our biggest discount of the year. You know what? We won't make very much money, but that's okay. I'll keep my crews busy. We're going to offer you, what are we going to offer you?
18%, 18 months in.
Back up, Hoss. Here's what we're going to offer you. A full, bona fide, no tricks, no BS, 18% discount, or 18%, 18 months, no interest financing if you do business with us during the month of March. Now look, maybe you want to wait till April or May. I get that. That's fine. But you're not going to get this discount then. If you're thinking about siding, windows, roofing, stucco, the time to call is right now. Hey, we'll keep plenty busy in the spring. There's plenty of customers. We're not worried about that. But right now, we're a little slow, so give us a call. It's the best offer of the year. Call us right now. See how that goes?
Yeah.
Yeah, so now that you got 2 different versions of that same ad. So people hear it from a couple different angles. The second one, you know, I kind of like that first-person approach. It seems more personable. That kind of presents a problem sometimes because maybe you've got sort of this announcer voice guy over at the radio station that's cutting your ads or something. But I just wouldn't do it. It's just not a good way to handle it. Even if you hire a voice talent to talk first person on your behalf, it doesn't matter. Nobody knows who you are. If the guy comes on and says, one of the things I hate most is blah, 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 over here at Bordner Installation, here's what we do. Nobody knows who that is. Nobody cares. Nobody's like, well, wait a second. That doesn't sound like, whoever. Nobody knows. But if you do go that route, I would make sure you keep it consistent. Hire voice talent, keep it consistent. Hire the same voice talent every time so they start to get familiar with his voice. But I do encourage you to get away from what I call quote-unquote announcer voice. It's not a good way to handle it.
Okay, great.
Okay, so does that help?
Yes, that's great. I sent a second one over, but that's more than enough for today.
Okay, well, I don't want to fry your brain.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay, yeah, like I said, we may want to have a conversation about this a little bit later. We've got a lot of experience with radio and voice talent, and
Great.
optimizing the buys. I'm not saying your buy isn't optimized, but I'll tell you this: we're dang good at it.
Yeah, I'm not sure it is. All right. Well, would you like me to send you an email, or how do you want to follow up on that?
Just shoot an email over to Judy, and she'll forward it to the right person in our company.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much. That was great help.
All right. Thanks, John. We'll talk to you next time. Okay. Moving right along, and maybe picking up a little steam here is William. William, let's get you going here. William, how you doing, man?
Hey, very good, Rich. How about yourself?
Well, I'm doing good today. Let's pull this up. I've got a few attachments here. What should we be looking at first? I got one that says Angie's List ad, one that says PWL ad, and one that says Crosspoint ad. What do you want to look at first?
Let's look at the Angie's List ad. That's the one that's running now.
Okay. That's a little ad. How big is this ad in real life?
Don't know. How big is it?
Sixth of a page, so it's probably,
Is this right size?
2.5, 3 inches square, something like that.
That's Frank Felker, by the way, Rich.
Okay, good. Okay, hate your windows. Find out why so many people love Fred's Best. Okay, I'll tell you what. One of the major templates for writing advertising in general, not MYM or anything like that, just general, is exaggerating problems to make a point. And I see that that's what you're doing here, but I think that you've gone past the limit here of what you're trying to accomplish, and I'll tell you why. First of all, this window is so horrific looking that people are not going to identify with it at all. They're going to look at that and go, what? Second of all, you have to really look hard to figure out what's going on here. I mean, this looks like a scene out of Friday the 13th. What's happening here? Is this a barn? Is this like an old building? Is this what's going on here?
Right.
And when they finally figure out, this is an old window. I think there's just too much mental gymnastics that we're putting people through to get the point across here.
Okay.
So I don't know that I would use this photo.
Gotcha.
Or if you did use this photo, I would recommend that you use a smaller version of it so that it's easier to figure out what's going on here. So let's say that you zoomed out and the window itself was visible between the headline and the Fred's Best, and you had more of the red barn showing or whatever it is. But still, I probably wouldn't go that route.
Okay.
Hate your windows. Find out why so many people love Fred's Best. Do you realize that if you simply took this ad, put it on a plain background, choose whatever color you want, maybe a light blue or something like that, I don't know, something so that Fred still pops out there, and you gave a little bit, you centered this Hate Your Windows find out why so many people love Fred's Best, it's going to be a lot more effective simply because it's going to be a lot more readable. I don't think that this is having the intended eye-catching, attention-getting, hey, let me read this ad that you think. I think that you could actually accomplish that just with some white space.
Okay.
Hate your windows. Find out why so many people love Fred's Best. Now, here's what I want to know. Why do so many people love Fred's Best?
Yeah, it doesn't state it in the ad, so they have no idea for knowing.
You know, this is going to sound kind of negative and like I'm taking jabs at you, but I just want to say it as straightforward and clearly as I can. This is kind of a lazy, weak attempt when people say things like find out why, you know, or something like that. To me, it's just kind of lazy because people aren't going to follow this logic. They're not going to say find out why. Well, geez, I wonder why. Let me call this number. So tell me, why do people love Fred's Best?
Right.
You know, so what I would rather do, I understand that we've got a very limited amount of space here. So what I would rather do is make some sort of a bold statement that communicates something important that you want people to know about you. And we've only got one shot here, so let's think through it and make it powerful. Now, you might say things like the following, and I'm using the same methodology that I've used for the previous two callers, where I'm going to just kind of talk through this. And it's not necessarily the headline for the ad, but it's just kind of, let's just kind of look at some options, okay?
Okay.
Maybe we could say something like, and I know that Angie's List has strict limitations on things that you can say, but what if you said something around the concept of Fred's Best is the highest rated window company on Angie's List in this area for the last 4 years? I know you probably can't say that, but let's assume you could for just a minute, okay?
This works.
Fred's Best has been the highest rated window company in Angie's List in this area for the last 4 years. Okay, well, where's this ad going to appear? In the Angie's List guide?
Yeah.
So who's going to see this and under what circumstances? Answer, people that are looking for windows.
Right.
Nobody's going to see this ad. I mean, somebody might see it, but nobody's going to pay any attention to this ad that's looking for a plumber.
Right.
So let's say something that gives us, you know, a fighter's chance of impressing somebody. You know, hate your windows. Only Fred's Best offers 12 different brands and styles of windows to ensure that you'll get exactly the right window for your specific home situation, period. Or hate your windows, make sure that you choose a company that uses XYZ installation methods to ensure a perfect fit so your windows won't, you know, suck again later. Whatever. These are not your points of differentiation. I'm just throwing out some different types of points of differentiation to show, let's put something in there that people would really look at and go, oh, okay, this company appears to specialize in something. This company appears to have some specific reason that I should call them, instead of the more generic, lazy, you know, find out why people like us. So tell me this, if you can only throw one spear or shoot one arrow, as the metaphor may be, what do you want people to know?
Well, we do offer multiple brands. That's one of our mainstays. So you were right on point with offering multiple brands of windows to make sure they get exactly what they're looking for, I guess. Yeah. Okay,
so I'm gonna say that with as much word economy as I can. Okay, so I'm gonna try to make it short. Hate your windows. Only Fred's Best offers 12 different brands so that you can choose the window that makes sense for your situation. Period. You know, something like that.
Like it.
Now, it's a small ad. Nobody is over here pretending like, hey, this is the ad that's going to make all the difference and, you know, get you grand slam home runs. Every time people see it, they're going to fall over with disbelief and call you as fast as they can. But I like my chances of at least giving people an expectation of what I do.
Okay.
You know, this is where the identity really comes into play. You know, we're going to do a webinar on Thursday on a book called Made to Stick. And one of the points, the first point in Made to Stick, and the idea of the book is how to make your ideas stick into people's brain. And the first concept in that book that we're going to talk about on Thursday is simplicity. okay? Simplicity. And we're going to talk about the need to boil down your main idea to a simple statement that you can compare what you're doing against. So in other words, to use an example from the book, Southwest Airlines is the low-fare airline. That's their first most important thing. Now, secondary to that is they're a fun airline. But the first thing is we're the low-fare airline. And it allows them to make decisions for that company that fall under that umbrella. So if somebody comes to that company and says, hey, you know, we've had requests to put some different snacks on our flights, and especially to going to Vegas where people are going to party, we think we'd like a different snack, then they simply look at it and say, well, does that help us or hurt us becoming the low-fare airline? Well, it hurts us. Okay, we're not going to do it then. We're a fun airline. Okay, if we're a fun airline and it's one of the flight attendants' birthdays, would it be okay to sing a song over the intercom for the whole airplane to hear? Well, yes, it would. That would be appropriate for the does that interfere with being the low-cost airline? No. What if we decided to throw a little party and throw confetti up in the air for that flight attendant on their birthday? Does that contribute or detract from us being the low-fare airline? Well, it detracts because now somebody's got to come in and clean up the confetti. So here's all I'm saying is we want to distill what you're all about down to specific points that are very clear. And it also helps us now when we have to write an ad like this, right?
Right.
So what do you want people to know? That's all of that story about Southwest Airlines is to come to this point. What do you want people to know? And maybe we've already answered that question. Let's move to your next ad, okay?
Okay.
Which one do you want to look at next? And I think for sake of time, we're only going to look at two. So pick the one you want.
Let's look at the Crosspoint ad.
All righty. 100 plus Crosspoint homeowners can't be wrong. Fred's Best is Crosspoint's favorite home improvement company. Okay, same kind of thing here as we just talked about. And hopefully you're filtering everything we just talked about as you look at this ad on my screen. So that being said, how would you update or improve this ad? You don't even have to be super specific, but just give me the general principles.
Well, we need to tell them why we're the favorite company. What we do that's different.
Okay, so let's assume for just a minute that the Southwest is the low-fare airline, and secondarily they're the fun airline. Let's assume that for you that you are the company that gives the most choice in windows. And I'm not trying to impose that on you quickly in this conversation, but let's just go with it for the example, okay?
Okay.
So then we could easily come in here and say 100 plus Crosspoint homeowners can't be wrong. Fred's Best offers the most selection so that you can get exactly the right window for your home, regardless of the situation, every time, period. Oh, okay.
Like it.
That's why 100 plus Crosspoint homeowners chose us. There's a reason. But when we use the more generic, we're their favorite home improvement company, number one, we haven't said anything. Number two, this is really, really dangerous. And you say, dangerous? How can it be dangerous? I'll tell you how it can be dangerous. When you say things like, it's our favorite home improvement company, or on the other one, what was it? You know, find out why so many people love us, people tune it out. And they draw a conclusion that says, oh, it's a self-serving, self-congratulatory advertisement, which people don't hate that. They just expect it. And so they realize, based on past experience, oh, this is probably an ad that really doesn't have any useful information. It's just got a bunch of self-congratulatory bullcrap in it, of which I'm not interested. And they tune out.
Back into alpha sleep mode. Yep.
Yeah, so it's actually very dangerous to put something like this. It's not just neutral to put something like this. It's actually dangerous. Why have over 100 Crosspoint homeowners chosen Fred's Best windows, door, siding, handle their home improvement projects over the years, many from multiple projects? Now, I've just gotten into this third set of words, and you still haven't said anything. You've only reiterated what already wasn't very good. You might as well come in on the fourth sentence and say, well, let me tell you why people love us so much, because I'm telling you, there are reasons. Really good reasons. And then the fifth paragraph, and when you find out what those reasons are, you're going to want to do business with us too. I'm being silly to make the point, right? The answer is quality, the quality of our products, our people, our craftsmanship. Your home is not only your largest investment, it's also your castle. I'm not trying to shred here. I am a little bit short on time, but I'm gonna just kind of take the gloves off and start punching below the belt a little bit here, okay?
Go for it.
I'm a huge, what's the opposite of fan? Not fan?
We'll call it not fan.
Your home is your largest investment. This type of statement is so old and tired and worn out. Your home is your largest investment, blah, 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 blah. Whatever comes after that statement is usually a bunch of crap. So let's just tell them what we want to tell them. Now, in this case, to use the Southwest example again, we used the low fare airline, and then the second thing was fun, right? Low fare was one, and then number two was fun. And in your case, we chose this selection, but now we're introducing this quality thing. And I want you to know it's okay. Just like Southwest can be low fare and fun, you can be selection and quality. This is why we talk about identity and not unique selling proposition. Maybe you've heard of the concept of unique selling proposition before.
Yes.
The definition of unique selling proposition is what is the singular unique benefit that people can expect when doing business with you that they cannot expect when doing business with anybody else. And in my experience, that's too narrow and short-sighted and too focused to run an entire marketing campaign. So what we want to do is draw this core and then have some outer core things that we put all as part of this identity, okay?
Sure.
So what I'm telling you is, hey, it's okay to talk about quality. You don't only ever have to talk about this, selection thing, or maybe you feel like quality is more important than selection, and vice versa. You don't only ever have to talk about quality. So that being said, let's look at some different ways to talk about quality. So the quality of our products, the quality of our people, and our craftsmanship. Okay, so obviously we're deeply entrenched into some platitude territory here, right?
Yep.
So what do we want people to know about our quality of our products or our people or our craftsmanship?
Sorry, you were asking a question.
Well, so pause. Remember the last guy that I talked to a few minutes ago, and we were rewriting the ad about the winter discount?
Yeah, which we couldn't see, by the way. We couldn't see what you wrote. We saw what he wrote. We could hear you, but we just couldn't see what you wrote.
I didn't. I just wrote it on a piece of paper and said it. That's all you did. Yeah, I was just.
Okay.
I got it all right here in front of me. But here's the principle that I was using with him: we were being very specific. We were telling a story. We were being more granular than just saying, "Hey, it's winter, so we'll give you a discount." So instead of just saying, "Hey, people love us because of our quality of our products and our people and our craftsmanship," let's get a little more granular. This is how ideas become sticky. This is how people believe things that we say and don't just pass them over with sort of a subconscious eye roll.
Okay.
So, what can we say about quality? What would you rather talk about, quality of your products or your people or your craftsmanship? And I'm not suggesting that you can only ever talk about one, but we got a limited amount of space here. Let's talk about one. Which would you prefer to talk about?
Products.
Okay. What about your product is so great?
Top quality materials, long lifetime warranties. Really, what else?
You don't want to go with craftsmanship?
Yeah. All right, craftsmanship for 100, please, Bob.
What materials are you using?
Top grade vinyl for vinyl windows, kiln dried wood for wooden windows. As far as the exterior surfaces of the windows.
Tell me about your warranty.
It's lifetime. It's lifetime of the building. Our warranty is. We tie with the manufacturer's warranty as well on all products. A lifetime warranty, as long as the product's in the building, it's covered. Our labor warranty is the same.
Even if they move out and the next guy moves in?
I'm sorry, what now?
What if they move out and somebody else moves in?
Yeah, it's transferable to the next owner.
One time?
One time.
Okay, that's fine. So, I like talking about warranties, and I'll tell you why I like talking about warranties, because it encapsulates the quality, right?
Okay.
So we could come in here and say something like 100 plus Crosspoint homeowners can't be wrong. You know, that I've used headlines like that before. I generally like to use that headline when the number is sufficiently large that people look at it and go, wow, that's a lot. One comes to mind is 8,448. I used one time. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. But nevertheless, I might or might not use this. How many homeowners are in Crosspoint?
1,438.
Okay, so that's a pretty good number. Okay, 100 Crosspoint owners can't be wrong.
And our number on that, we're at somewhere. We're at about 168 homeowners so far that have done business with us. We've done multiple projects for a lot of them, so we're over 10% of the neighborhood. But I think 100 plus sounds bigger than 10%.
What if we came in and said something like,
one exact number there.
The reason.
Okay,
I'm going to maybe start too bold, and you'll have to rein me back in.
Go for it.
We're the only company that offers a 100% no tricks, no BS, no fine print, no gotchas. I'm going to take the 100%. I'm going to move it down. We're the only company that offers a no tricks, no BS, no fine print, no gotchas, 100% full lifetime warranty on every window we install.
That's great.
Parentheses. As long as the building is standing. Okay, now I can come back after this now and I can start to say things like it's because our quality. And now this quality discussion has a framework for it to sit in. Do you understand?
I understand completely.
We're the only company that offers 100% no tricks, no BS, no fine print, no gotchas, 100% full lifetime warranty on every window we install for as long as the building is standing. And then subheadline, we absolutely refuse to compromise. Need a different color pen. I'm going to get all this all messed up. Compromise on the materials, installation, or worker expertise. Other companies? Question mark? Not so much. Or maybe not. You know, something like that. Now, I haven't really given any indication of what we do that is such high quality. I haven't talked anything about the material. I haven't really said anything about training or expertise or longevity in the business. I haven't said really anything about how you install the windows, but I've still communicated this very powerfully by showing what the symptom is of the high quality. And the symptom, now in the discussion of a symptom is what's visible, not what the underlying thing is, right?
Right.
You've got aches, chills, runny nose, and fever. Well, no, you don't. You have the flu. Those are the symptoms of the flu. We've got high-quality workmanship, craftsmanship, and materials. Okay, but how does that manifest itself? Well, we're the only company that offers 100% no tricks, no BS, no fine print, no gotchas, 100% full lifetime warranty on every window we install as long as the building is standing. We absolutely refuse to compromise. See, I've just told them that we don't compromise, but I've used such strong language. It's kind of like the kid going out in the playground after he just moved in from out of state and all the kids are picking on him, and he grabs the top of his shirt and he rips it and throws it on the ground and says, okay, you guys want to give me a hard time because I'm the new kid? Let's go. My only request is no more than 2 kids at a time because that's not fair. Who wants to be first? Let's go right now. And they look at him and they go, maybe we should be friends with this kid. That's what you're doing when you talk like this. When you talk with power, people believe you're powerful. When you talk with power, people believe your competency and your credibility. And all we're doing is we're using language. Look at this. No tricks, no BS, no fine print, no gotchas. What have I just implied about all of my competitors?
That they don't know the same.
Oh, have I said anything specifically directly negative about my competitors?
Not at all.
No.
You just the implication that they may be offering tricks and exclusions and all that stuff. So yeah, it's great.
And I've taken something that's fairly generic and mundane, like the warranty, and I've elevated it to a prominent position in your marketing.
Wow.
So,
in fact, we had a conversation about our identity with you back in October. And it was the same conclusion that this ad was written prior to that, but we hadn't really the Angie's List ad was written after that. So we obviously need to tie into that. So it's this is great.
Yeah. So now you go back to your Angie's List ad, and if we wanted to take this route, we do the same thing. We're the only company that offers a blah, 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 same stuff. And you don't have to trick this out and change it up and find 75 different ways to talk about it.
That's great.
Maybe you find 3 or 4 ways to talk about it. So now you run an ad on the radio and you say what we just said. Maybe you find another way, like I had with the gentleman before, Jonathan, when we said, look, here, let's find 2 different ways to talk about this, just so that it keeps it a little bit fresh. But here's what you don't need. You don't need 18 ways to talk about it. If we know our core concept and we can find 1 or 2 or 3 good, solid, hard-hitting, powerful ways to talk about it, you're in business for life, buddy.
That's great.
This is the secret to what we do. People think we're so good at what we do, and we are good at what we do, but we're actually kind of lazy. We just figure out the identity, and then everything else kind of flows.
Sounds great.
Yeah, so marketing for lazy people. Anyway, that's all we got time for. We got to jump over to the last person here.
Thank you, Rich.
All right, talk to you later. All right, we've gone 4 for 4 with nobody that didn't show up and nobody that's phone was messed up, so this is impressive. Now we're going to go to Chase, last but not least. Chase. Hey, Chase, how you doing? Chase, come on. All that build-up. Chase, it looks like you've not input your audio pin. Your audio pin is #99#.
How about that?
Yep, there, I got you now. How you doing, Chase?
There we go. Good, Rich.
Okay, let me go over here and pull up your dealio. All right. Hey, I just pulled this open for the first time. I haven't read a thing on it, but it's already 1,000 times better than what we looked at last week.
Yeah, definitely. Don did a really good job redoing the postcard, and then I had him redo this into a full page. We're going to do a newspaper ad. So.
Okay, now you can get a full set of the highest quality eyelash extensions for just $99. Includes a full set, unlimited fills, and no lash limit. I kind of want the word fills next to the word unlimited instead of on another line. It's kind of creating a problem there. It's broken at the best place from a equality of number of words on each line basis, but I kind of want the word fills to be right next to the word unlimited. So I might tweak that just a little bit. Only 75 available due to staffing and space limits. We only have space for 75 members in our Unlimited Lashes Club. I might put an underline under the words Unlimited Lashes Club so that it kind of ties it together and people can see, oh, there's a name of this club. See, because you're just now introducing that, right? This is the first time they've seen that. So I put an underline on that so that they go, oh, this is actually a club. I get it. First come, first served. You probably need a comma after the word come.
Okay.
And you might actually need, I don't know, I haven't encountered this much, but you might want to put hyphens between first and come and first and serve. First come, comma, first served. If you're interested, please call us now. By the way, I really like that. Only 75 available. I like that, immediately throwing the scarcity right after they've found out what it is. No need to spend $250 plus $60 every 2 weeks for fills. I'm not liking that ellipsis after that $250. And here's the great thing about this conversation we're having, Chase. We're just nitpicking details. This is great.
Yeah, I think it's really coming together.
Yeah, I think that ellipsis needs to go away after the $250. No need to spend $250 plus $60 every 2 weeks for fills. that ellipsis makes it looks like the plus is something completely separate. It's visually separating it, but it actually should go together.
Okay.
No need to spend $250 plus $60 every 2 weeks. And I might even underline $60 every 2 weeks. Again, it's that same concept as above, where we just want people to see visually what goes together versus what doesn't. Only $99. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger to read this stuff down here. Have you been holding off on lash extensions because they're too expensive? Normally, you're looking at $250 just to get started, plus another $60 every 2 weeks for fills. All told, you might spend as much as $2,000 a year. Again, same thing. I might underline $2,000 a year just to. You see this concept of underlining to pull concepts together?
Mm-hmm.
Just to make sure that they focus on that. And we see, okay, $2,000 a year for quality lash extensions. Okay, that's good. Our system is different. We charge a modest $99 upfront fee for a full set. Again, I might underline the word full set just for emphasis of Extreme Lashes, the best brand on the market, then a $99 maintenance fee per month to keep your lashes looking long and beautiful and full all the time. Again, I might underline all the time for even more emphasis, although it is bold, all caps, so that might be fine. Unlimited fills. You can, and we recommend, to come in every 2 weeks for full fills to keep your lashes looking awesome. There's no limit to the number of lashes. You'll never have to worry about gaps or missing lashes. This is great. This is really good. I mean, it's so clear what you're trying to say here. No lash limit. We will not limit lashes. Perfect. I love this. FAQ, are the fills really unlimited? Why do you offer this program? Can you make any money? How many lashes can I really have put on? Is that redundant with the first question or not? Maybe not. It's probably fine.
Yeah.
Other lash places, the lasers unlimited. I might actually flip those two and put yours first and other lash places second, although I think that's really, really minor, so I'm not that worried about it. Text Lash for booking information, call us or visit online. This is great. I really like it.
Okay, cool. Thanks,
it's always
Rich.
nice when I see this stuff that we designed and I actually like it instead of going, oh, we designed that? Which it's rare, but it happens.
I know. Yeah, I'm very happy. Thank you very much for your help.
Yeah, I think this picture of this gal is great. She's got this look of the person that you want to portray without her looking overly, you've picked a good model here. I think she's attractive but not unattainable, I guess that's the best way to say it.
Right.
Okay, well, good. Anything specific you want to know, or just kind of looking for a stamp of approval?
That was, pretty much it. We're going to go to press tomorrow, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, if you can make those minor adjustments, do it. If you can't, I wouldn't have any hesitation with going just the way it is. The edits we made earlier were very minor.
Okay, great. Thanks, Rich.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Chase. Good to talk to you. And thus concludes our longest TMAC with the most submissions of the year. Thanks so much for participating. That's why it's here. Happy to do it for that long every time. So thanks so much, and we will talk to you Thursday when we will indeed, like I mentioned earlier, talk about Made to Stick. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you later. Bye now.
The organizer